So, believe it or not, Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker now has 44 DLC characters. And at $5 a piece, that adds up real fast if you're thinking about grabbing them all. But if you're someone who's maybe just getting into the game and wants to try out some DLCs but isn't sure where to start, then this video is for you. Today we're going to break down the only DLC masters you need for each of the 4 classes, so you can build a really strong meta setup right from the start. We'll take a quick look at what base game gives you and what it's missing, and based on that we'll pick the perfect DLC to round out your build. So with that said, let's jump into it and start off with the first class. Alright, let's kick things off with the attack class. When you look at the base game Jutsu for this class, one thing really stands out. It's missing a truly game-changing ultimate. Sure, you've got solid options like Boruto Strike or Planetary Devastation, but nothing that completely turns the tide of a battle when your team needs it the most. What you're really looking for here is a transformation ultimate with a powerful second activation. Thankfully, we've got several DLC characters that offer exactly that. You've got Adult Naruto with Kurama Link mode, Baryon Naruto with Baryon mode, Karma Progression Kawaki with Karma Progression, and Kid Naruto with Ninetales Rampage. Honestly, all 4 of these ultimates are strong in their own right. But when it comes down to it, the difference maker is the quality of the regular jutsu that comes with them. Both Baryon Naruto and Kid Naruto offer one outstanding jutsu, Baryon Bullet Barrage and Rasengan Connection respectively. But their second jutsu feels a little bit underwhelming compared to what's already in the base game. Adult Naruto has 2 decent ninjutsu, but again, they're strong yet they don't add anything the attack class doesn't already have. That's why for me, the best choice here is Karma Progression Kawaki. Both of Kawaki's jutsu offer utility and versatility that you don't really find in other attack type DLCs. First, there's Daikoku Tenshokatsu, which lets you fire a shrinking projectile from your eye. If it hits, it stuns the enemy and drops a massive cube on them, damaging both them and nearby enemies. Plus, this jutsu can break through defensive techniques like Sand Shield, Susanoo Armor, and Demon Hunter, something that's super useful. When compared to other base game long-range jutsu like Resent Shuriken or Vanishing Rasengan, Daikoku Tenshokatsu is just far better. His second jutsu, Sukuna Hikona God Hunter, shrinks your body and launches you towards your opponent. That may sound simple, but it's actually one of the best gap closers in the attack class. While shrunken, you're invulnerable and the move lets you seamlessly follow up with flight attacks that continue your combo. It's an amazing engagement tool, whether you're peeling enemies off of a base or chasing down an annoying heal type in combat battle. But of course, the real reason we're picking Kawaki is the ultimate, Karma Progression. This transformation fully restores your health, buffs all of your stats, and activates Sukuna Hikona, making you immune to all non-secret technique projectiles. Your strong attack also changes to drop the same massive cube from Daikoku Tenshokatsu, giving you powerful ranged pressure. Then, when you activate it a second time, you fire off a barrage of fireballs and impale your target with Kawaki's arm, an instant kill if it lands. This is exactly the kind of game-changing ultimate that you really want in your toolkit. It gives you both great defense with Sukuna Hikona and strong offensive pressure with the cube attack, all topped up with an easy to land finisher that guarantees a kill almost every time. So in summary, Kawaki's Karma Progression DLC gives you 2 highly versatile jutsu and one of the strongest ultimates in the attack class. So if you're going to pick just one DLC for the attack class, this is the one I'd go for. Alright, let's move on to the range class, and honestly the base game jutsu for this class are much better than the attack ones. You've already got some really solid free jutsu options like Super Beast Girl Lion or Twin Birds. And when it comes to the ultimate, Seafood Karura is a standout option that still holds up very well to this day. So for range types, we're not trying to cover a weakness as much as we're trying to add some extra firepower to an already strong kit. There are a couple of great picks that come to mind. If you want arguably the strongest single ninjutsu in the class, then you could go for Madara and grab Majestic Destroyer Flame, which is still one of the most brutal ranged attacks in the game. If you're looking for something with good AoE damage and utility, Temari is another great choice with her wind-based attacks and a fantastic ultimate. But for me, this choice comes down to 2 characters, Borushiki and more recently Kid Sasuke. Both of these characters bring really great transformation ultimates alongside with some really strong jutsu. And just as a quick reminder, you can play as any DLC character for free in this game. So if you're unsure, just test them out before you spend money on them to unlock their jutsu for your custom builds. All that being said, my pick here is going to be Kid Sasuke, so let's break down what he brings to the table and why I think he's the best choice. His first ninjutsu is Chidori Layering, which on the surface is basically just a standard Chidori, but with one key difference. If it connects, it reduces its own cooldown by about 75%, meaning you'll have it back in just around 2 to 3 seconds. That's honestly huge. The only downside is that it has almost no tracking, meaning it can be kinda tricky to land it from far away, but at close to mid-range it's fast enough that you can connect it pretty reliably, especially if you weave it into a light attack combo. Now, the second jutsu is where things really start to shine. Fire style Dragon Flame Jutsu lets you throw out a bunch of wired shuriken and kunai that immobilize the enemy, and then you breathe flames along the wires, dealing big damage. This move has incredible tracking, some of the best in the entire game, and surprisingly long range as well, making it great for picking people off a distance. As a bonus, the wires leave behind a small area that slows enemies down, giving you even more control over the battlefield. But of course, the real star of the show here is the ultimate, Curse Mark Second State. When activated, this jutsu fully restores your health, sprouts wings from Sasuke's back, and massively boosts your attack power, speed, defense, and tracking range for 20 seconds. Your strong attacks also change into a small fireball jutsu, giving you an extra set of offensive tools during the transformation. It also comes with a second activation, where Sasuke unleashes a massive Chidori in a straight line. A devastating finisher that's perfect for wiping out one or more enemies in front of you. One very important part of this ultimate is that whenever you get a kill outside of it, your secret technique gauge fills up, meaning the more people you manage to kill, the more times you'll be able to activate the ultimate. This adds a big benefit as it means you'll likely be able to get this even in shorter matches or multiple times in longer ones. All in all, this is one of the best transformation ultimates for the range class, combining mobility, raw power, and gauge recovery, allowing you to snowball a match if used correctly. So to sum it up, Kid Sasuke brings some great jutsu with both close and long range options, and his Curse Mark transformation makes him one of the strongest offensive threats in the game. For range types looking for a well-rounded high impact DLC, this is the one I'd recommend the most. Hey, are you enjoying the video thus far? If so, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button as it really greatly helps me out. Thanks a lot, now on to the next class. Alright, let's move on to the heal class. And here's the thing, I really don't think you actually need any DLC to build a strong, viable healer in this game. The base game jutsu for the heal class are still super solid, even today. That being said, I'll still give you a couple of suggestions if you're a really big fan of playing the heal type. But honestly, if you're just starting to buy DLCs, my personal recommendation would be to save your money here and instead buy one more DLC in the defense class, where DLC is a lot more necessary, as you'll see in a moment. But for those of you who do love the heal role and want some options anyway, here's what I'd recommend. The main gap in the base game's heal kit is offensive jutsu. Now, personally, I don't think you should be running an offensive healer if you're just diving into the DLCs for the first time. If you do want to focus on damage, you're better off playing attack or range. But if you really want to play an offensive heal build, your best bets are either 6-pass Madara or Reanimated Itachi, since both of them offer some excellent damage dealing ninjutsu for the class. On the other hand, if you're looking to just strengthen your support and healing arsenal, then go for Last Battle Naruto, who brings arguably the best all-around healing jutsu in the game with 6 paths Rebirth. I'm not going to break down these characters in detail since, like I said, heal DLC isn't really the most essential for players starting out, but I still wanted to give you a few ideas in case you're really interested in expanding your healer kit. That said, I firmly believe your money is better spent grabbing 2 defense class DLCs instead, which we'll get into next. Alright, let's move on to the defense class, and as I've mentioned before, this is probably the class that struggles the most when you're sticking with just the base game jutsu. The reason's pretty simple. A lot of jutsu that used to be strong when the game first launched have either been countered by newer technique or just completely overshadowed by better options. Take Sand Shield for example. Back in the day, it was a nightmare to break through, but now there are like a million different ways to counter it. And when you look at the ultimates for this class, they aren't much better. You've got a few solid options like Super Shark Bomb and Grand Sand Mausoleum. But honestly, there's nothing that really changes the flow of a game. And that's exactly why I recommend picking up 2 DLC characters here, to really round out your arsenal and give defense the firepower it's lacking. So let's dive into them. The first character I think you should grab is Last Battle Sasuke. His first jutsu is Flying Thrust, Heavenly Hand Power, where you throw out a kunai and after either 3 seconds or when you press the jutsu button again, you teleport straight to it and lunge at your opponent with a Chidori. This is one of my favorite offensive jutsus in the game for defense types. Not only does it deal solid damage, but it's an amazing mobility tool, letting you close the gap on faster opponents, which is something defense types usually really struggle with because of their lower movement speed. On top of that, it's super handy for dodging an enemy jutsu or when carrying a flag. His second jutsu is Susanoo Armor, which wraps you in the Susanoo ribcage for 10 seconds, defense, auto-guarding against light attacks, most ninjutsus, and ninjutsu. Now, it's not as broken as it used to be since a lot of ninjutsu can't pierce it, but it's still super annoying to deal with for enemies. If you pop this thing right before jumping into the fight, you're instantly giving yourself a huge advantage. Finally, there's Sasuke's ultimate, Indra's Arrow. This one has you fly into the air with a perfect Susanoo and fire an arrow down, creating 4 separate areas of damage on the ground. I'll be honest, this is definitely the weakest part of his kit. It's really hit or miss. Sometimes you'll wipe out like 3 players in one go and other times you'll hit absolutely nothing. That inconsistency is one of the main reasons I suggest picking up a second DLC to balance it out. And that brings us to the second character, Perfect Susanoo Shisui. He's going to help round out your kit even more and most importantly provide you with a much more reliable ultimate. His first jutsu is Susanoo Tsukumo, where he covers himself in half a Susanoo, protecting him from almost all non-ultimate type damage. When you press the jutsu button again, you fire out a barrage of needles from the Susanoo, damaging anyone caught in their path. The cool thing here is that the more damage the Susanoo absorbs, the stronger the needles become. It's a really simple but super effective jutsu. Great for both protecting yourself and dishing out some serious punishment. Plus, it's really useful when you're holding down any sort of objective. His second jutsu is Genjutsu Sharingan, and again, this one's basically like a normal Sharingan but applied to you and all of your nearby teammates, with the added bonus of potentially stunning enemies who try to attack you during this effect. I mean, I don't really have to explain why that's amazing. It's basically Sharingan but better and for your whole team if they're nearby. The only real downside is its pretty long cooldown, but to be honest, if it didn't have that, this jutsu would be completely busted. Finally, we've got Chisui's ultimate, Perfect Susanoo Kishin. When you activate it, Chisui's Perfect Susanoo flies up into the air, and for the next few seconds you're able to freely aim the area of effect, moving it across the map and even adjusting its height to line it up on multi-level maps. Once you've decided on your landing area, you press the button again and the Susanoo crashes down with a massive drill sword, instantly knocking out anyone caught underneath. And as a bonus, it leaves behind a square of light pillars at the corners of the blast zone, which deal even more damage to anyone who sticks around after the initial slam. It's probably not the best defensive type ultimate out there, but it is really good and offers the user a lot of control over it, which is an amazing bonus. And with the rest of the kit, it makes this version of Shisui super worth it in my opinion. And that's about everything I have to say. There's obviously a lot of choices you can make when buying your first DLC master, and while I do believe some are better than others, at the end of the day it's still very much gonna depend on your playstyle. So make sure to try out ideally all of the characters before you commit to buying any. Anyway, that's about it from me. Thanks for watching the video and I'll see you all later. Bye!